I was working with Dan on this query that we needed to do where we wanted to find participants from the program that did not have a confirmed email. And so he said, okay, let's just set this up real quick. And we got together and we started writing the SQL. Well, he basically said to me, write the SQL while we're here. And I realized I hadn't actually sat down and wrote SQL from the start in a long time. I had gotten used to using the Metabase interface or taking some of the SQL that Dan has already written and basically just editing it. And it's one thing to be able to edit and understand, all right, this is how it all works. And it's quite another thing to be able to write it from scratch. And I had just been relying on all the existing queries. And so he asked me to write this query, and I couldn't do it. And I said to him, I understand how the queries work, but I just haven't been practicing it on my own because I've been so caught up with all the things we need to execute on for the application period and just getting these programs launched, right? I haven't sat down and figured out, okay, I haven't practiced essentially. And it really got me thinking about when you need to work fast and learn slow and what the difference is. So I think there are definitely times where you just need to focus on executing and moving quickly and shipping quickly. And that is an important skill to develop in of itself, because I think there's a lot of just mental stuff when it comes to becoming a good operator, an operator who can execute quickly. A lot of things about just having confidence and not being afraid to reach out, not being afraid to ask questions, and just this ability to move quick, right? So I think that needs to be practiced, and you should, when you're in execution mode, you should be trying to execute quickly. However, on the flip side, if you are just constantly in execution mode, then you never develop certain skills that just take a little bit more time to really hone and to really get better at. For example, I could probably go through the rest of my career at Reforge as a product manager and just rely on the SQL queries that Dan provides, and using that just edit things and never have to write my own SQL. But if I do that, then I'll just never learn. I'll never have the ability to write SQL on my own. And so when it's not full-on execution mode, that's when you need to force yourself to pause and slow down and take an extra, a task that would, if you were in execution mode, take 30 minutes, go ahead and take the extra hour, 2 hours to make sure that you really understand and are able to do what you're trying to do, and make sure you understand the principles and that you can execute it. And I think this is how you have to kind of juggle the two between execution and learning. And so, I don't think that the learning, in an ideal world, you could take 9 months and just focus on one thing, right? Ideally, you could take 9 months and just focus on becoming a programmer. However, unless you're doing a boot camp or deciding to forego income and forego doing an actual job, there aren't that many opportunities to get this long stretch of time. And so something more practical is squeezing this in your downtime, or squeezing it in the downtime of work. So carving out that time in the morning to just, all right, I'm just going to focus on learning right now instead of focus on executing. And I think that getting that balance right is the key to continued career growth, because you need to both execute and you need to both learn. You need to both learn and execute at the same time. So that's how I would structure it. When it's go time, you just focus on going. And when there is a little bit more, the pace is a little bit more relaxed, then you need to make sure you structure an hour in the morning, an hour at night, something, so that you are continually refining your skills and getting better at certain things. And so that when it's time to execute again, you are able to do it on your own, and you are even better at executing because you've honed these skills even more. I think it just needs to be a deliberate thought process, not just something that you leave to chance.